What's up, y'all? Today we're talking about Transformers. I know, that's exciting, right? What if I told you we were talking about Michael Bay's Transformers, though? Okay. Alright, yeah, that's fair. Michael Bay's Transformers movies haven't received the best criticisms over the years. These movies are heavily criticized with their loud action sequences, gratuitous shots of hot women, weird racist stereotypes, endless product placement, and a whole bunch of this. Despite all of these negative criticisms that these films receive, Michael Bay has managed to make a crap ton of money off of them. Now, I've personally had some strong opinions about these films over the years, and they have changed drastically. When I was a child, I absolutely adored these movies. I loved them to death. I loved these movies so much that I would actually beg my mother to buy me every single Transformers toy that was out on the market. In fact, I actually still have some. I'll show you. Look at that. Look at it! Toys used to be so cool back in the day. Come on, Hasbro. What are you doing? Make awesome figures like this again. However, as I got older, my opinion has changed. I went from loving them to absolutely despising them. There was just an absolute point in my life where I thought these movies were just horrible pieces of garbage. I agreed with the majority of people on this. I thought these movies were just absolutely terrible. However, I had an epiphany, ladies and gentlemen. I thought to myself, maybe these movies aren't as bad as people think. So I decided to give them a rewatch. And there's one movie in the franchise in particular that I feel like gets the most hate. One movie that is considered by many to be the death of cinema. One movie that is considered to be a horrible piece of garbage. And no, it is not that film. Or that one. Today we're going to talk about... That's good coffee. If you're wondering why I'm wearing different clothes, it's because I filmed this video on 2 separate occasions. So imagine this for a second. It's the year 2009. It's the month of June. Michael Jackson is currently on life support, and Michael Bay is about to release his second Transformers film. People are hyped. People are stoked about it. They saw the trailers, and they cannot wait to see this one, as the first one had already been a huge success. Then they go in, they watch the movie, and they feel disappointed. They feel angry. They feel despaired. They feel betrayed. Then all of a sudden you have all these critics bashing the movie, claiming how terrible it is. People just hating you, and hating you, and hating you. You, the director, for making this film. Let me tell you a little story. When I was 7 years old, this was my favorite movie. I don't know what it was about this movie, but I absolutely adored it. I guess it really had to do with the fact that I was a huge Transformers fan at the time and I loved seeing them on screen, so I was a sucker for that. And besides, if you're a 7-year-old kid, you wouldn't worry about stuff like plot, or writing, or dialogue, or the characters, or the story, because you don't think that way when you're a young child. You just want to see some cool robots fight each other, right? And yes, as I got older, I got much more mature and much more wiser and started to realize that, yeah, this film is not good. However, upon rewatching this film, I gotta say, I actually kind of enjoyed it. Wait, no, wait. I am not saying in any way that this movie is good, alright? I still have a lot of issues with it, and I still think it is not a great movie. We could spend hours talking about the many elements of this movie that were great ideas but were pushed to the side, like the different types of Transformers who get killed in seconds and have very little screen time. The RC sisters? We literally had female Transformers and they get killed in seconds, come on! What about Sideswipe? He was a cool character. I want to know more of him. There are so many elements of this film that I feel like are wasted, but however, there is one plot point that I do want to talk about today that I feel like was wasted the most. Upon rewatching this movie, I feel like this movie's intended purpose was to be about leadership. There are certain scenes in this film that I feel like exemplify this theme, and I wish that these scenes had more focus or were more fleshed out or were more well written, because the way these scenes are executed or written make it feel like nonsense at times. There's a certain amount of greatness throughout this movie that I feel like isn't talked about enough. Underneath all the explosions, the hot women, the weird racism, and John Turturro's butt, I feel like that there lies a really well written and heartfelt story in here somewhere. During the scene where Optimus meets Sam at the gravesite and says,
"I'm sorry, Sam, but the last fragment of the Allspark was stolen.
Like what, like Decepticon stolen?
We placed it under human protection at your government's request. But I'm here for your help, Sam. Because your leaders believe we brought vengeance upon your planet. Perhaps they are right. That is why they must be reminded by another human of the trust we share."
This isn't my war.
Not yet. But I fear it soon will be. Your world must not share the same fate as Cybertron. Whole generations lost.
I know, and I want to help you. I do. But I am not some alien ambassador. You know, I'm a normal kid with normal problems. I am where I'm supposed to be. I'm sorry, I really am.
Sam, fate rarely calls upon us at a moment of our choosing.
You're Optimus Prime. You don't need me.
We do more than you know.
the way it's executed makes it confusing for the audience to understand what's going on or why Optimus would approach Sam in the first place. However, in the novelization of this film, this scene actually happens very differently. Sam still meets up with Optimus in the graveyard. Optimus still talks to Sam that he needs to remind everyone of the bond between the Autobots and the humans. But there's one piece of dialogue that alludes to Optimus being very much like Sam in an instance. And after hearing about that, I just had to rewatch the scene in particular again. I kind of understand what they were trying to accomplish with this scene, but the way it's executed makes it feel so pointless, like I've said before. This could have been the moment where Optimus showed a little bit of his humanity. This scene right here I feel like was intended to be the beginning of Sam's arc, of him doubting himself, and if this scene was written or executed better, then I feel like it could have made Optimus's death much more impactful. Sam could have felt the heavy weight and guilt and shame for not accepting Optimus's advice in the first place, and him rejecting that advice earlier in the film and then later on witnessing Optimus get killed before his very eyes would encourage him to become a better man as the film goes on. And for a little bit we do get that, but it's all pushed to the side for more jokes and for more explosions. I do want to talk about a scene that happens towards the end of the film. After Sam gets shot by Megatron and goes to Robot Heaven to meet with the other Primes, they say to him,
"You have fought for Optimus, our last descendant, with courage and with sacrifice, the virtues of a leader. A leader worthy of our secret. The matrix of leadership is not found, it is earned. Return now to Optimus. Merge the matrix with his spark. It is, and always has been, your destiny."
To be honest with you, I kinda got chills by watching this scene. The moment the Primes say the matrix of leadership is not found, but it's earned, I felt like was supposed to be the moment Sam learned how to become that hero and how to become that great leader. I feel like this scene was intended to be the completion of Sam's arc, and I feel like if the movie focused more on that, then I feel like Optimus's revival would have been so much more impactful and had so much more meaning to it. Throughout parts of this film, we see Sam constantly telling his friends that the Matrix will save Optimus. And it's that courage and faith that allows Sam to go through his trials. It seems like a good idea on paper, but I feel like we could have dwelled deeper into Sam's struggle on believing that throughout this film. Maybe one of the human characters could have died from the hands of one of the Decepticons, and we could have had a moment where Sam continued to doubt himself even more, but was still able to push through. This ending scene right here, which in my opinion was supposed to be the heart and soul of the film, was to show that Sam really did have the courage to risk his life to save Optimus, because earlier on in the film, Optimus did the same during the forest fight. Sam had faith in the Matrix and himself as well. At the end of the day, when you really think about it, Sam was indirectly the one who saved everyone from dying, from extinction. Sam, the guy who thought he was just an ordinary kid with ordinary problems, became the guy who indirectly saved the entire planet. Sam was the one who revived Optimus, which caused him to destroy the machine and kill the Fallen. I love this little scene right here where Optimus says to Sam,
Thank you, Sam, for saving my life.
Welcome. Thank you for believing in me.
it's a great moment, it really is. However, the rest of the movie didn't focus on this too much. At what point did Optimus really believe in Sam? Where was that in this film? And that's what I mean by when this movie has wasted potential. This movie had a lot of great things going for it. It really did. It had a lot of great ideas. Because this movie really had the potential to be great. This movie really did have the potential to be one of the best in the series. It could have been the Spider-Man 2 of the franchise. It could have been the Empire Strikes Back of the franchise. Hell, it could have been the Diary of a Wimpy Kid 2 of the franchise. At the end of the day, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen is not a good movie, but I wouldn't consider it one of the worst. There are some very, very good ideas here, and I feel like, you know, if the writers and the director himself cared more, then this could have been one of the greatest films of all time.